Cuba Gooding is sick and tired of the Oscars blacklisting him, and he is now exposing them for killing his career and causing him so much pain.
You know, it's one of those moments in my life where I was trying to numb the pain. So I would, just kind of go out and not worry about a thing.
He is now putting the Academy on blast for being vindictive and killing his career, claiming that their attitude towards him is what got him blacklisted by every director in Hollywood. Is he really accusing the Academy of being racist? So Cuba Gooding Jr. went from being Hollywood's darling to being an outcast in the industry, and it looks like he blames the Academy fully for the way things turned out for him. When we talk about grace to grass stories in Hollywood, Cuba is one name that always comes up. He was a pretty big name in Hollywood in the 1990s, and he was on track to become a Hollywood legend, kind of like a Denzel Washington. His career took an even bigger turn when he won the 1996 Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in the movie Jerry Maguire. But Mr. Show Me the Money win came with a lot of controversy because some people felt he didn't deserve it, arguing that there were other nominees more worthy of the win. But hey, he won fair and square, and if you know anything about the Oscars, then you'll know it's one of the biggest achievements in the movie industry. It's like joining an exclusive club of actors where you can charge a whole lot of money for movie roles, and some actors even double their asking price just by flashing that Oscar gold. Now, for a black actor to win in the 90s, that is a very big deal because just getting nominated alone was super rare. Cuba Gooding was living his best life, but unfortunately, the good times didn't last. Things went wrong real quick, and his career took a nosedive. Like I said, winning an Oscar puts you in an A-list crowd where you get to be picky around the movies and projects that you take on. And it's all about the strategy because actors have to be careful selecting the projects they want to work on, while also building good relationships with directors and producers. And that's where Cuba made his first mistake. He got some good advice from director Cameron Crowe, who told him to work with great directors and try to make good connections in the industry. But Cuba didn't listen. He was still riding on the high of his Oscar win, and he thought he could do things his way, but this turned out to be the biggest mistake of his career. He slowly started ruining everything he worked so hard for. After his Oscar win, he was flooded with lots of roles to pick from, and he decided to take his time to pick and choose what he wanted to do. But despite being so picky, he still ended up making all the wrong choices and turned down leading roles in movies like Hotel Rwanda, Amistad, Collateral, and many others. He was even offered the lead role in the hit movie The Last King of Scotland. The reason he turned down that role was because he thought the character was a bad guy, and he didn't want to play a bad guy because he was a good guy and because he didn't want his fans to think of him as a bad guy. Now, while that seems ridiculous, it somehow made sense to Cuba, and he turned down that role. The role then went on to Forest Whitaker, who won an Oscar for the movie. If Cuba hadn't been so obsessed with being Mr. Good Guy, he would have probably won his second Oscar, and that's when he started to realize that he was messing up his career. By this time, he was no longer getting offered good roles because the producers and directors soon got tired of his attitude, and they started crossing his name off their list. Suddenly, the opportunities started to dry up. At first, Cuba was man enough to admit that he messed things up for himself by being too selective. In an interview with The Guardian, he said, "I had all these directors offer me roles, and I read their scripts and said, I don't think this part is right for me. And what happens is, if you offend enough big directors, you get taken off their list." He also admitted that his Oscar win had gone to his head, saying, "For me, it was always about protecting the sanctity of that golden statue, because I felt I needed to show people that I can do more, I could do better." However, reality hit him hard when he realized he was slowly going broke. Desperate times called for desperate measures, so he dropped the whole Oscar winner attitude and started taking any role that would keep food on the table. But it was too late because the juicy roles had dried up, and the movies he had starred in ranged from mediocre to downright disastrous. For the next few years, it was a struggle to stay afloat. But then in 2016, he was lucky enough to land the lead role in the limited series American Crime Story, The People vs. O.J. Simpson, where he played O.J. Simpson himself. Things started to look up for him, and he even got an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Lead Actor in a miniseries or movie. It seemed like he was finally escaping the dreaded blacklist and making a comeback. But just as he thought the worst had passed, the universe said psych and threw him another curveball. When several women came forward accusing him of inappropriate behavior and things went downhill all over again. It all started in 2014 when his wife of 20 years, Sarah, filed for legal separation. While she never spilled the tea publicly, rumors swirled that she had finally had enough of him cheating on her. After his wife left him, that's when the bad behavior got out of hand and he started pulling in essay allegations left and right. People believe that he was kind of holding himself in, but he truly let loose when he became separated. He got accused of being creepy towards several women, and to date he has had more than 30 allegations levied against him. That's 30 different women, and that's just those that decided to speak up. One of his victims spoke about their encounter with him and said, "At about midnight on March 1st, Cuba Gooding Jr. waltzed into the bar we were at and proceeded to harass a number of women there. The harassment occurred when women would be taking pictures with him. He would grab butt cheeks during the picture taking, and when women reacted negatively to that, he would proceed to either touch women's breasts or tell them that he loved them." Then there's this video posted by TMZ where we see him touching a woman in what appears to look like a bar or a club. We clearly see him touch her chest, and she definitely didn't consent to this because she came forward to accuse him a few days after this. Then another woman exposed him, claiming that he had essayed her in 2013. She claimed that she had met him in a hotel in Soho where he invited her for a drink. He then told her that he needed to quickly change clothes and invited her up to his room, where he then essayed her. This led to his arrest in 2019, and yes, I'm talking about his viral arrest video that quickly became a meme on social media. But it gets even worse because he has also resolved another criminal case in New York without going to trial. He pled guilty to a single charge of harassment stemming from an accusation of kissing a woman without her consent. But that's not all, because there was another case where the woman accused Cuba of battery assault and the intentional infliction of emotional distress, and it ended with the judge ordering him to pay $80,000 in compensatory damages to the plaintiff, Natasha Ashworth. And last year, he took a plea deal to avoid prison time for the Soho essay, pleading guilty to a reduced charge. This whole situation just has been messy as F, but he agreed to plead guilty in exchange for his conviction being reduced to a violation. But according to an insider, Cuba has been struggling to get work since the allegations started, and he feels like the Academy isn't doing anything to protect Oscar winners. Most production houses and directors don't want to work with him because they know they are going to get a lot of backlash from the public, and the movie is probably going to tank. Well, Cuba allegedly feels like the Academy should be advocates for separating the art from the artist, and as long as he wasn't convicted of any crimes, they should have advocated for him to find work. He also feels like things started falling apart for him when he won the Oscar, and strongly believes that he is a victim of the Oscars curse. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Oscars curse is, it's a Hollywood superstition that suggests that winning an Academy Award can lead to a downturn in an actor's career and personal life. An insider added that even though Cuba is grateful, he can't help but wonder if things would have been different if he hadn't won. People have bashed him on social media, saying things like, "It's always easiest to place the blame on others than it is to acknowledge and accept the fact that you messed up your own career. It just shows that this man still has a lot to learn about himself." These are examples of someone's ego destroying them. His career can always come back, but it will take time. He needs to humble himself. And seemingly all self-destructive people seek to blame everyone, with the exception of their own behavior that put them in the lost space. But what do you guys think about all this drama? Do you miss Cuba Gooding Jr.? And do you really think that the Oscars should be held responsible for Cuba's career? Or do you think he's just full of BS? Let me know your opinions in the comments, and then check out this next video.